second. Anything further to add to this night's agenda? Is everyone in the audience on the agenda?
Pickleball is going to be on public comments just to make it 24-hour notice. So.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay, also in your packet, approval of last month's meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Adam. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. I've got an echo here. I'll sit back a ways. Motion by Mindy, second by Adam. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we move into the public comment section. Absolutely.
I'm Roy Beard, and I represent the Brandon, South Dakota. I have always put South Dakota in there. Pickleball group. I had to add South Dakota to it because we were getting Brandon, Florida, people asking to join our group. Just for your information, all I'm doing tonight is just give you some information. We're not going to ask for any action. We have not done anything formal yet. But just for your information, we got a Facebook group now, and it's over 300 members are in that group already. There's been a lot of activity down there lately. They're getting very active. They're playing a lot. I guess that was one of the reasons we decided to come up and just inform you that what we'd like to do. If you remember, I was here 2 years ago and we had an action plan at that time. We asked you to, maybe we could repaint all the pickleball or all the tennis courts down there into a pickleball type thing with the red and blue, and then make the tennis group gray. You would not allow us to do that at that time, which I was very disappointed in, because we were going to raise our own money, do all the painting ourselves, and type of do that. We didn't do anything yet until you kind of give me permission. You at least would talk about it. If you give me permission tonight that you would at least talk about it, we'll probably get together as a group and come up with a formal proposal and bring to you. But I'm not going to do that if we're already going to be opposed to that. The reason we do that is because if you got the pickleball red and blue on there, we can see the playing much better. It's very hard with just the gray lines to see exactly where we're supposed to be. And so it's very difficult to play. What we do is paint it red and blue for pickleball, probably put 6 courts on there, and we would then make the tennis courts in gray so that they could still play tennis, but they would be the secondary instead of us. And so our proposal would be someday to come in with some money and repaint the whole thing. Now I know there's going to be 4 more pickleball up at Aspen Ridge. If I know contractors, and if he's here, that's fine. But if I also know city government, and if they're going to make a proposal to give that to you, and then you have to go through all the proposals of accepting the park and make all those revisions, I'm going to say it's probably at least 2 years away. We would not like to wait 2 more years for pickleball to be played in Brandon as good as it is. So we would like to bring a proposal to you to repaint all the current pickleball and make some permanent nets. I think Devin could vouch for us that the non-permanent ones get destroyed. I don't know how many, he's had to replace lots of them. He had to replace the whole set of 4 we had, 2 years ago. He's had to replace or repair 2 this year already. The problem is, it isn't just the wind. Kids must get in there. I don't know, I shouldn't blame kids. But, I think somebody is destroying our nets. And so we're down to 2, and then we get it fixed back up to 4, and it's back down to 3. And we're having a lot of problems down there is what it is. So we just like to see it designated as a pickleball group first and tennis second. Any questions from anybody?
When you mentioned putting in permanent nets there, would that impact the ability to use those courts for tennis?
Yes, eventually if we would put permanent nets there, that would take away the total tennis. The tennis would be totally gone. But I think, I don't know, Devin could speak to that or not, but I don't know if I've hardly ever seen any youth using that. Why would you use tennis here when we got such excellent tennis courts up at the other area? Those are excellent tennis courts. If it was me, I would play up there. And I think most people do. I have never seen anybody playing down here tennis, but I don't get down there as often as everybody else does. Maybe Devin could vouch for that. But yeah, it would permanently do that. And we'd like to eventually put up even what I call a fence, I guess, where the nets are now, put a fence across there, and put a fence between each one of the courts, so that the ball doesn't roll clear to the other end when it's windy. We have to run clear to the other end of the thing to get the ball and bring it all the way back to the courts. If we get a formal presentation, I will bring you some pictures of some beautiful, beautiful pickleball courts. They're not that expensive. We get by, and we'd be willing to raise all the money ourselves.
Yeah, I think originally and Adam, maybe you can correct me here, but we needed to keep the 2 tennis courts so that whenever the school had certain size tournaments, we had enough courts in town, correct?
That's good.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's good.
Yeah, because we will host ESD, it's 3 years
Right.
again. And with only 8 courts, that makes it really tough to run that tournament. So they do utilize those courts.
I understand that, but you should really probably add 4 more courts anyway, because you can't have a state tournament without 12 courts, I believe it is. And I think you're short already for the total state tournaments, right? No, you can make it with these?
It's all hosted in Sioux Falls currently, the state tournament.
I know,
over
but-
Rapid City.
We could bid for it.
Small chance.
No. We get the baseball, amateur baseball here.
Yeah.
And what do you know? A sponsor came in, built a new stadium, helped build a new stadium.
Yep.
And what do you do when you have people build new stadiums? You know, we could have a state pickleball tournament. We could have a lot of pickleball people can come in and we would have some tournaments here. And I know we'd get some good ones if you allow us to do that. But until you tell us we can do that, we're not going to come in with a formal proposal. You understand that? There's no use doing it. So, any other questions? We got quite a few people here representing.
Sure. So, Devin, as far as your perspective, or maybe both of you, the color, does that, maybe meet in the middle? We have to have the tennis courts there still, but can we make some adjustments?
I guess my biggest
what are your
question
thoughts?
would be how, so that you would repaint them, you'd still have to have portable nets though, obviously, because we still need to have, so then would the tennis also be a portable net?
See, that's the problem. If we go to a gray line for the tennis and we're the red and blue, I don't think the tennis people would allow that for
Right,
a
I don't know.
legal, legitimate tennis tournament. So that would not work. But it would only be for free play. They could still use the gray, and as long as we leave those nets up. Yes, yeah, but not once. I'm sure Adam and Val said they would not allow a gray line to be a legitimate outfit. That wouldn't work. I can't hear you, sir. Well, okay, why can't it be gray? It's, you got the red and, what color is it? Red and, no, it's blue and gray, I think it is, currently. And then you got a gray stripe and a white stripe for the tennis, and then a gray stripe for the pickleball. And everybody gets all mixed up. Yeah, when you're playing Fast and Furious, okay, that's our problem. We'd just love to turn that into it, and I think the school has enough money to build some new courts. They can remodel the high school without having a bond issue, and they can do it. They could afford 4 more courts or 2 more courts, at least 2 more courts up there. So I'm not worried about their money being able to do that. They just haven't done it, and they don't have the right people pushing for it. So push for the two more up there, and then we can have ours down here. I think Devin's aware of that. We only have 2 courts currently, and 2 are broken.
I guess I don't understand what you guys consider a working net. I was just down there
Was
before
it
the
working
meeting and all.
No, it was sagging on Wednesday, or on Monday.
Yeah,
I
they-
saw 3 of them last time I was down there, and one was,
There's no center, the post.
The center
there's-
post.
They all 4 have a center post.
they are now, you're back up to working now. Okay.
Right, they might sag a little bit, but without buying brand new nets, I mean, we could buy brand new nets every single year. They're
I know it.
$200 a piece. That's
It's
not
getting to be,
outrageous, but
yeah, expensive, really. And we're willing to put together the money to redo everything once you allow us to do that. Number 1, you get the school to put their courts up there, and number 2, we'll put ours on here. And then we'll have it just like the baseball and so forth, have some nice tournaments and things will go better. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Roy. All right, I think we should probably put this on next month's agenda to discuss and then get back to Roy. Do we have any additional public comments from the group? Okay. Hearing none, next on the agenda is Brandon Area Soccer Association.
I think we're still on, if the red button's on, right?
Yes.
Okay, third time's the charm and I actually know how to use it. So thank you for having us here. So Nate Miller, and then we have board member staff and our BASA administrator, Melissa, sitting in the back. So I was talking with Devin and one, I can give you a brief update on our board, but more so, and what we've done, but more so, we're aware that with the success of the hockey building, that there may be some space over there where they currently are right now, correct, Devin? And so the reason we're here is just to indicate we're interested in any talks or considerations of soccer fields out there. We don't know if there's anything there right now. We just know that we need space. And so he said, come to the board, and so that's why I'm here. So I know there have been conversations about an ice rink, I think,
yeah,
which was there previously, you were
we
saying?
have talked about it,
Yeah.
but we're in our CIP process right now, so we don't have anything budgeted or set for next year currently. And there, just so you guys all are aware, in theory, there's roughly 4.25 acres of levelish ground where the hockey rink sits now, and another 1.5 way out to the east, but I don't know how viable that is. Yep. I can pass
Yeah,
this
across
map.
from McCarty baseball fields, yeah, there. And so, one of our issues, which is a good issue, we're growing. And we have membership, and so we want to provide that support for our kids, so. And so really, this is just an initial, we're interested. We don't have definitive plans, we just know that there's talks about it, and we are hoping to at least be involved in those talks and considering.
If you had or could put fields over there, what size would you want? We need to think
Well,
of
now,
full
the
size
first
or-
thing we need to know is the size, which we know now, so that'd be a discussion with the board, I think, so.
I would say at least two, so we only have one U12 field, field 3. Yep. Yeah, beside, like the second biggest. The big fields, I think we're okay, the U12 fields, I would say at least 2. And then smaller fields after that. Like the full-size fields, I think we're okay with the 2. The high school uses them in the fall, but that doesn't really impact our practices at all. It would be good.
Yeah, we'd probably,
Two U12s.
yeah, U12's our biggest need. We definitely would want to probably think through it all with the grand vision, of course, too, but that's why this is kind of the initial 4.25 acres, you said, roughly. Roughly, yeah, I got you, so, yeah. That gives us a rough idea, too, of where to start with.
So is there enough parking there once you do this field? Do you have enough room for parking?
That's a great
For
question.
those fields too?
That is a great question.
Party does not have a lot of
No, they don't.
parking on that end of the field.
That's a
So
great question
would
for
have
us to consider as well.
Yeah, you would have to provide your own parking for those fields.
And I think and to be determined, but even if it's just practice fields, that we could use practice fields. So that's probably our biggest need right now, not necessarily places to play, it's for our kids to
I
practice.
would agree, it's
So,
practice.
I I don't think, we wouldn't need parking, to, well, depending what we decide, you won't need nearly as much parking for practice as you would be if you wanted to host an event. Of course, what's the vision, right? So, but that's a great point for us to consider too, in thinking about that.
And you are aware that the entire property is in a flood zone?
Yes, we're also aware of that. And has flooded.
A lot of people,
Yeah, we're also
a lot of
aware.
people doesn't
No, I
know,
appreciate
don't know that.
any facts you have about it are appreciated, so.
Really, Pioneer Park's technically a floodplain too, isn't it? And that's where our other practice fields are, and there's just not enough viable space down there. Like, they're rough down there, so if we can kind of start fresh.
Yeah.
And closer to our main complex would be ideal for practice space.
So what is the plan for, so I'm assuming it would need to grading and topsoil brought in, cause if I remember it down, it's pretty gravelly and clay, so you're gonna have to bring in some topsoil for grass. Is there a payment plan for that?
So, again, this just came up and we just became aware, so no. But we would put that, fair question, we would put that together and we'd be happy to know what the process is. We just, again, we wanna do due diligence, cause similar to the city, we also don't have unlimited funds. So, we wanna make sure that we know it's an option. Not that it's gonna be an absolute by any means, but if you have already decided, hey, we're gonna put a ice rink there, then there's probably not a point to have the volunteer board try to put through all those blood, sweat, and tears, so.
I don't think there's been a set decision on that, but it was part of our discussion.
Yeah, is there a time frame for a set, because that always helps us if we have a time frame of, process, like pulling away, removing equipment, building, et cetera, is a time frame from your guys' standpoint? And if there's
Well-
not, that's okay.
Hopefully hockey is pulling everything out this year.
Okay.
We have no plans to put anything back in yet. That's, so we're working on CIP. Hopefully we have to get that hammered out this meeting.
Okay.
So park board, we can probably debate that when we get to CIP, if we would wanna ice rink, soccer, something else, just have to talk about that then. And then whatever we decide from there, then, if they say, okay, let's do soccer, then we'd probably go to you guys and say, all right, give us a plan and,
Yeah,
and things like that.
that's fair.
So,
Yeah, and we're aware there's costs and that the city can't shoulder all those costs. That's something we could have conversations with. We probably can't shoulder all the costs either, so.
So Nate, if it were to be used as space for soccer, other than the land, are you looking anything from the city for that? Any reconstruction costs? I mean, you're not talking
We don't know yet.
lights or anything,
I think the
are you?
best thing to say is we don't know yet.
Okay, but probably would have to be unlighted, I'm thinking.
That'd be ideal to have lights there, yeah.
No, I'm
Or
thinking.
unlighted. Sorry.
Unlighted, the cost of
Honestly, we'll
lighting-
take, you can't let perfect be the enemy of better. We'll take better, so. Ideal would be lights, but we'll take space.
We don't have like the Pioneer, we just have the
Yeah,
practice space.
that's true.
You know what I mean? So like, I think it would be fine to.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine, but I'll always aim for ideal and then I'll work for better.
I just
So-
think,
Not trying to take it away.
No.
I just think with the flood zone option.
Yeah, that makes sense,
I mean,
yeah. It's not
hockey
an
does-
option,
hockey does have
period, even
lights
if you
down
want,
there,
yeah.
but,
No, that makes sense, yeah.
we would have to see if they are leaving the lights or if they're taking the lights or what they're doing with
Yeah.
with the existing lights down there. I'm sure they're taking them, but I don't know that.
Yeah,
We-
but
we
we're
don't know that.
We're certainly willing to work with the city and communicate and keep an open line, so.
Just,
The other issue I can see is porta potties. We probably have to bring
All
in,
the big things,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
We
because
do that
they're,
anyways, like, if Devin doesn't have the concessions open when we start practice, we provide porta potties down there now anyways. We would just put them down there, our season's 6 weeks in the fall, 6 weeks in the spring, throw a porta potty down there. And call it good.
Kinda like Pioneer Park.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's
Pioneer
what's down
Park
there
has
now
two
is-
down there right
yeah.
now,
Yep.
so.
just two quick comments. Since it is a floodplain,
Yeah.
if you're gonna come in and bring in about 6 inches of topsoil or something, you need to take out 6 inches first.
Interesting.
Yeah, Yeah, because we can't change the elevation of it at all.
Because of
You can't,
floodplain
yeah, we can't
status.
fill a floodplain. That being said, we do have quite the stockpile of black dirt in Aspen Park that I would love to get rid of. So we might be able to help you with that a little bit. And then we mentioned using that east part, that access location around the curve on Aspen Boulevard would not be permitted for an access because it's really not safe. We don't want people using that.
And that's how it is
But-
for hockey, right? The west,
Right.
the west driveway.
Yep, just for that west portion of it though. There is a drainage way that goes right down the middle of that. We don't want people driving through that because we've been trying to stabilize that in the last couple of years. So I'd say that east half, you couldn't use.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's that extra acre you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just talking out loud, I'm sorry, I probably should leave it there, but if you guys were to decide to keep it as an ice rink, could we improve Pioneer by bringing in dirt and reseeding it and get rid of some of the gravel? Cause Pioneer right now is full of weeds, it's full of gravel, it's horrible. And to expect 300 rec kids to practice down there is not ideal for us at all. So if you guys are looking to get rid of dirt anyways, if this doesn't work, could we put the dirt down at Pioneer and seed it?
Well, I mean, yes, but in my opinion, the problem with Pioneer and a lot of these other areas isn't the soil or the grass, it is overuse.
Sure.
And which there's no
Right.
choice for anybody, but we can't grow grass when it's used, all the time. We tried, and we obviously
And it
can't.
doesn't- Right. But if we had more space, maybe we could do a rotation of.
Exactly,
In
yes.
the fall, we play at McCarty, in the
Right.
spring, we play at Pioneer. Like, if we had.
Yeah, because if you go down to Yankton Trails, I mean, you guys are well aware, they have
Right.
all these fields
Right, 'cause
that
you
are
can't practice on
closed.
them. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
We don't have that. We
Right.
would love to have that because you could at least take a break this
Right.
year and so on and so forth. But
Yep.
it's more of that than I think, because we have overseeded, we've fertilized.
We could steer, I envision having, it wouldn't be easy, but I envision more fields will allow us with a schedule, will allow us to do that. Now, will it be perfect like Yankton? It won't, but again, it will be better, right? So, like I said, I'm big on not letting perfect be the enemy of better, so. Any other questions for us at all? Thank you, Tammy, for that, so. All right, thanks for having us.
Thanks. Item 7, Gil Haugen in the July event.
I got a lot bigger ass than you. We've been there. Turned it off. Okay. We've been down there 14 years now, I think. And the guys have been harassing me. They want to have a 2-day event. So the question is, if we race, it's the end of July, the 27th and 28th. It's be a Saturday and Sunday. Would it be permissible to allow a few of the racers that come with campers or a motorhome to park around the track overnight? We don't have power enough for them to be plugging in air conditioners and that kind of stuff. It's all just 20 amp circuits. So
Dry camping.
they'd have to
bring
run it
generators.
on batteries or whatever they're doing, but just a one-time deal. I've got that prior week, I got Joey coming in from California. He's the track builder. And I asked him, he puts on all the big races all around the country. And I asked him, how many do you think? And he goes, I don't know, between 10 and 20 maybe. Most of them show up at the trailer, just leave it there, go to a hotel. But there'll be a few with campers. So that's my ask. No, we're
No,
we're all the way down at the end now.
Yeah, there's a baseball tournament July 19th through the 21st, so the weekend prior, and nothing that I know of that weekend.
Is that 12U state tournament that they're having? No, this is probably the association's one.
Yeah, I never know what they are. I just know when they are. So.
And that's the only one in July.
Yep, that I have on our schedule. And then just so you guys know, we have allowed overnight camping, obviously, for the carnival the last couple of years and some other random times. So I'm not too worried about it. So, but it's up to you guys, and then it would have to go to council after that.
The only thing I can see that we'd have to, make as a rule or guideline is there'd have to be quiet hours for generators because residential has crept in a little bit
Sure.
closer now. But that, I'm sure could be reasonable. I mean, shut them
Yeah.
off by 11 or whatever the
And
block
I'm
hours are.
assuming no open fires, that kind of, they might have,
Yeah,
have a grill for their steaks, but other than that, yeah.
I think that would have to be on a permit basis. I think they would have, just like we would do for any carnival or thing like that, they would have to apply for a permit to have alcohol in the city park for this hour to this hour. And then we would have to review that, I would assume.
I wouldn't be selling anything. I mean, just if they happen to have a cooler, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
trailer.
not, you're not allowed to have alcohol in the city parks, so it would, the fact that you're not selling it is,
Yeah.
a positive, but it would still have to be permissible, so you would have to fill out a permit saying there will be alcohol within the city parks between this hour and this hour.
and we can make those rules
Yep.
when we have the guys come in for the race too.
Is this, how many night, would it just be Saturday night, you think?
Yeah,
or-
they'll practice and qualify on Saturday, and then another qualifier on Sunday, and the mains, and then go home. So I'm assuming, there might be somebody that shows up Friday night, be there ready for Saturday morning, but basically it'd be overnight, Saturday night.
We
My
should
own-
probably list it as Friday night, Saturday night.
Probably
if you
so.
have anybody, yeah.
So my only concern with Friday is that we have 3 or 4 different contractors working in the park and driving equipment back there. And so I don't wanna restrict them if they're working late on Friday. Are you staying out by the RC track?
Yeah, they'll be parked, backed in along the fence, just like race day. And that way they get their spot and they're all set up and, yeah,
Just so that they're not in front of it by the road, they're blocking it or something.
I'll make sure they stay away from us.
Well, I would make a motion that we allow, the camping on July 27th, with the caveat that if there is alcohol within the park, that a permit is obtained
Okay.
and reviewed.
Should we allow Friday the 26th just in case too?
We could, yeah, I'm okay with that, if there's somebody that comes in on the 26th.
All right.
And your motion is to take that recommendation to council?
Yes, take the recommendation.
Thank you, Mindy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lee. Any further discussion on the motion in question? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. We'll
All right.
take that to city council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Item number 8, pollinator garden.
So just for your information, you guys don't have to do anything about it, but our conservation committee is promoting using wildflowers as pollinator gardens, and we are giving out free seed that covers about a 10 by 10 foot area or 100 square foot. We have a few rules with it where it needs to be 10 feet from a property line, and they need to put a border around it and that sort of thing. We actually did a real small post on Facebook, and we had a whole lot of interest in it already. So it's kind of a cool program. Hopefully we can report back more information later, but it seems to be going pretty good.
So I think everybody has in their packet the split of items by cost. And Devin, did we want to, I think we want to do two things, right? We want to come up with maybe an ask to council for what we'd like as a budget. And then do we still need to prioritize within these at this point? Are we asking for specific things, or are we just asking for the budget and here's the
Yeah.
things we're gonna do when we get the money?
I think if we come up with our priority of, X number of projects, shoot big, obviously. But obviously, there's not gonna be enough money for them all, so we're just gonna have to redo this every single year. So let's just pick, what should we come up with, let's just say $500,000, $600,000 worth of projects, and then we'll just see what actually we get. I did add to mine just today, we've been tinkering on the pool. I would like to add new pool filters and new pool drinking fountains for a grand total of probably $17,000 to $20,000. Everything leaks and it makes us mad.
As far as, sorry. As far as the amount, right, and what we asked is, we asked the golf course, we're basically asking the departments or the boards, golf course doesn't really have a board like the parks, to prioritize things and to give the council, not us, give the council, here are the things we would like to see done in this year, maybe the next year, so more like a 5-year plan, if you would, and prioritize things for year 1, year 2, year 3, and maybe have in mind, like Devin suggested, a number of 500,000 to 600,000, knowing that 1 year you may get all of it, next year you may not get all of it. There may be more available some years. Barb, help me.
Well, remember, you know how it's been, like 1 year we'll get 200,000 and then the next year we'll get 5.
Right.
And my suggestion the other night was, let's just budget, they're gonna do a cash flow of our budget.
Yes.
Let's just put in 500,000 so that the park board and Devin know, you know, that we're gonna be around that amount. And then let's just see where the chips fall, but rather than this, okay, well, you know, we need 200 here and trying to justify it all, I'd just like to go to a flat amount, and then they need to increase it with the cost of inflation or something, but at this point in time, we got nothing. And so that was my suggestion, that's what Randy's saying, and we were doing that with some other places too, so to be more, I don't know, systematic on it.
Again, with the understanding that there may be years where you say, hey, we don't need 500,000 this year, or there's going to be a year where there's one big project and it's more than 500,000, but you come in with that ask and it's not every year that you're asking for an $800,000 project or something like that, right?
I see the theory behind that, however, every year we have $800,000 worth of expenses that we can spend it on, so it makes it a little.
So how do we start? Do you wanna start with recommendations and then we feed in from there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I will start if you'd like. I would like to keep going with improving the lights at Aspen. We started with Field B this year. With what kind of money we have, it's gonna take us a long time to finish them, but I'd like to keep going because the lights are bad and getting worse, the existing ones. So I'd like to do another Field C next year. That would come in, it should be cheaper than this year because we have a shared pole between B and C that's already up. And we did a pole base for C just because of concrete. So it'll should come in under 200 for sure. But I would still pencil in 200 for that just to be on the safe side. And depending on how far we want to go, we have to do the lights before we do the concrete path. So in theory, if we do one field of lights a year, we would need to do C and then D, and then we can take the path from where it's at up to the old concession stand and then do those lights. Unless we had a lot of money, we could, maybe bite off 2 fields and then do the pathway in 26, but I don't know how things are gonna fall out, so. That's my main big one. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I like the thought of maybe looking at and prioritizing the large scale, those that are over $100,000 as one group, and doing the medium scale. I'm almost thinking with that smaller group for now, not prioritizing it and just see, like, if Devin is saying, let's say we land on lights and we come in under, we see how much we're under, and then we can pick from that list to cram something in. I also want to, in that bottom one, where we've got the ice skating pond at the old hockey site, I'd like us to modify that to also read or soccer practice fields, because I know we had some discussion around that, and we weren't unanimous that that was something we wanted to see. It's a pretty short season for an ice rink. So I think this is an alternative. We maybe ask them to, now that they've got an idea what the land is, do a proposal, and let's take a look at that too, and see where it fits in here. I agree with Devin about going on with the lights, and I understand now that I would love to see the pathways, but I understand that we've got some prerequisites, so I'm fine with pushing them until the other diamonds are done. Of the other items on here, I mean, I like the shared use paths. I still want to put in a plug for the pool parking lot, just because I think it's a safety issue out there. But it's our largest ticket item, and it's also doesn't have a lot of sex appeal. So I think we maybe don't do that the first year. But other thoughts?
Well, with that pool price, is that for concrete or, I mean, some sort of a finish, or is it gravel?
Parking lot?
Yeah.
That would be concrete, curb, painting, asphalt, sorry.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I said the wrong word. Is it an option? I mean, it'd be great to do the whole thing, of course, but I was out there for the last baseball tournament. I know it rained, and so there some of the spots, but people were almost all the way out to the road out there. So I do agree that there's a need, even if it weren't asphalt right away, to take some more space to make more parking, because it was, as you said, it was pretty unsafe, and the walking on that path was really crazy. I couldn't believe how packed it was.
And maybe if it was a gravel surface, we could at least put curb and gutter in as the first step, right? Or no? Okay. Forget I said that.
Yeah, for that one, I would rather not, just because I mean, it is a small one. You got kids running around without shoes on, things like that. And then they'd be tracking the gravel into the pool itself, which would cause more of a mess. So that one, I'd really like to stick to just paving it one way or the other. And if we can't, then we just can't, so.
And that plan had removing the volleyball, correct? With that parking lot?
I guess the other thing I would like to push is some of these pool upgrades that I have on here. I guess I don't know what's happening with the lift station. Is that 26? Okay, so then we could push the surge tank. I want to redo the surge tank, but I'd like to do it in conjunction with the lift station project, so we might as well push that back with that one. But the filters, drinking fountains, maybe even those VFDs, what would that put us at for pool things? 10, 22, and just almost 30,000 of pool upgrades. If we did the drinking fountains, filters, VFDs, pumps.
Out of that second list, we got the McCarty Park restroom. Is that pretty bad?
Yeah, it's as bad as Pioneer was
Do we need to do that on this year? Have that on this year?
for 25.
Well, first year we get the money, I guess, yeah.
Right. Out of those things there, I guess they have the surge tank, yeah. I don't know, it's tough to say. It functions. It does what it's supposed to do. Is it the prettiest looking restroom? No.
Can you Band-Aid it this year anyway?
We had to replace, after the flood, we replaced the lights and we replaced the doors and I don't remember what but it's just an old concrete building that needs some, we could paint it or do things like that, I suppose. We could attempt to do some band-aiding, cause yeah, I'd rather probably do the grading and seeding in Aspen Park would be good to have, cause I don't know how we're gonna take care of that land in its current state with our equipment.
Where is that?
Everything.
Be specific. Yeah.
Everything south of the big baseball field, so
Okay.
down where hockey's going.
Okay.
So whatever's not hockey is just land currently with full of weeds and piles, and so it'd be nice to have that. If it was somewhat graded and seeded, and someone could come in and farm it or hay it or something like that, it'd at least be taken care of. But that's a lot for us to, we have a 6-foot mower. It's gonna take a long time to knock all that stuff down.
Is it seedable? I mean, is grass gonna grow there, Devin?
Yeah, it was a farmland.
Was farmland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, so whether it's, just hay ground or something like that, anything would be.
It just seems like there's a lot of gravel going out to that hockey now, so that's my concern.
Right.
I mean, it's cut into a couple pieces now?
Yeah,
Okay,
well, hockey's the far south,
right,
east corner. There's still lots of
okay,
land around
Okay.
there too.
I think it's pretty open to the big hole
okay.
Yeah.
out there.
Okay.
That was the other thing, you said we have all this black dirt out there. Have we already filled in the big hole?
Oh, no.
So can that black dirt go into the big hole?
No, because we also need that hole right now for detention.
Yes.
So that is our major stormwater pond, and it has no outlet, so we need to have all that capacity right now.
So just kind of listening to what Devin is suggesting, I mean, if we were to put together field C lights, grading and seeding of Aspen Park, replacing pool lights, the pool surge tank, VFDs and power, the new pool drinking fountains and filters, and pool equipment from the bottom, we're at about $454,000.
I thought we couldn't do the surge tank until after.
We can't do the surge tank, or we
Okay.
shouldn't do it, but I think
Okay.
we could do the VFDs, maybe not the power, cause that'll kinda go with the surge tank. Cause right now the power for that lift station comes out of the pool room also. But the VFD, those are just a better kind of pump for the pool. You can set what speed, the pumps we have right now, they're either on or off, and that's it. The new ones, you can set your RPMs, your speed, all that type of thing. They start soft, so it's just better for them. So I'd just like to upgrade those. So I don't know, I don't have that broken down, but I'm sure we could.
It needs to be though, yeah. And that'll go in the top one.
So if we do the pool, the filter, the drinking fountain, and the VFDs, would you say 50,000 would cover that? Okay, so if we do that, and the lights on field C, and if we throw in the grading and seating, and the McCarty restroom, even if we throw that in there at 50, that puts us at 400. That would give us about 100,000 that we could leave for the small scale projects, and maybe not necessarily specify which ones.
How much did you say for the pool things? I have pool lights at 50. The pool equipment at 10 down in the small,
But we
right?
weren't doing the pool lights, right? We were just doing the pool.
I thought he said
I think
yes.
the lights would be a yes.
Oh, the
Yes.
lights were in.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I thought we couldn't replace them.
We tried and failed. I'd like to keep trying.
Oh,
But yeah, we haven't given up yet, but it was on for last year, we couldn't find replacements for them.
Yeah.
In theory, we're still looking, but haven't found any yet.
So if we add the lights with the VFDs, filter, and the drinking, then we're up to close to 100,000 for the pool repairs, correct?
Right. Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were all talking the same
I did
language.
not know we were looking at lights.
So that's 400,000 with those
With just those items.
items.
And then we've got a, just
at 200 for field C lights.
Yep.
100 for pool and 100 for asphalt.
Right. Right.
So, we would have 100,000 for small scale to get us to the 500,000 budget. Ask, yes. Put one Kearney Western in there and ask for 550. Maybe we should ask.
Yeah.
Is it gonna work, do you think, for the council if we just say we want 100,000 for our small scale projects and we give them a list of small scale projects and say we're going to choose from among those? Will that be, I know in the past they've wanted, okay, you're gonna spend it on this, spend it on this, spend it on this.
Well, if we're gonna get,
Staff might not go for that. They kinda like everything to be itemized what you're doing. They don't wanna just give us a chunk of money.
But as a council, you're going to do it?
And then the old hockey site, I'm guessing soccer would wanna move that, on that as quickly as possible.
But it's going to be how long before all of the hockey stuff is out of there? I mean, I don't think this is, that, to me, that can't be a next year, right?
I think it could be a 25.
They're hoping to be, using their building this season.
Yeah. At the end.
I'm assuming they just aren't taking down any equipment just in case, just
yeah.
hedging their bets, but I would
They
I
could
would
take it
sure
out in
think
the spring.
once they know for sure they're gonna be in, they would start taking things down. And I don't, we'll have to work with them on what stays and what goes, but, I mean, it's all theirs if we want. I would assume we could make them take it, get it back to Virgin Earth, so.
Cause I think they got a new chiller and new boards for their indoor rink. I don't think they're taking the chiller and the boards from their other rink.
I know the boards they donated those to
Yeah.
Spearfish or something.
Yes, to the
Yeah, like I
Spearfish.
said,
I'm not sure about the chiller too. I think they
Yeah, I don't
may, I don't know if they donated that as well. But there's two sets of boards. There's the boards with the chiller and then there's the boards on the public rink. So there are two sets of boards there.
I think the west boards are not salvageable in my opinion, just looking at them. Yeah, I can't imagine anyone would want those.
And are they taking down the changing rooms and the little maintenance shed, I'm assuming
So
is staying?
The permanent shed is ours.
Okay,
Everything else is just a trailer, so everything else would just go. I don't know about the lights. I don't think they would use those lights inside. I'm sure they'd get something else. They are supposedly using those bleachers. They're moving those inside. Yeah,
but they could use those lights for the parking lot.
yes, they could.
So
I
they
don't know if
may-
they're lighting their parking lot.
They should, because you will, I mean, it gets dark at 4:30
Mhm.
and they practice after that, so they could use those lights for the parking lot,
Yep.
so. And they're theirs, so.
Right.
And I don't know if this is the time, but, I mean, what kind of hockey, what kind of ice rink are we talking about? Are we talking like Sioux Falls has where you pour water into a hole and, I mean,
Yeah,
so
that's-
nothing sophisticated?
No, all I'm talking about is a raised dirt berm
Yeah.
that we fill with water.
Right,
And maybe, it has lights and
right,
that's it. So it's very low cost, low maintenance.
Yeah.
We mow it in the summertime.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think you can't probably do that and soccer because you got the berm. Although it doesn't have to be any kind of shape, so you could cram it into a corner and maybe still do soccer.
well, I guess
don't
that's
know.
where I was going. I think it's very feasible to put soccer and have a rink in there. And if hockey wants to leave the lights, we could use those, right? I mean, conceivably, we could build our rink. We'd have to move them a little bit, but it would save a whole lot of money for the lights.
So for now, we wanna maybe leave the hockey or that ice rink as an option for next year? Put that into the budget, I mean, we can change it, right? If we need to itemize the smaller items.
Devin, how important is the Stone Ridge, the irrigation in the sun? You know, we have a park there, we wanna make it look nice, we need that irrigation.
Yeah, we do. The grass is getting better every year, but it's not good yet. Just, you know, this year's been good for rain, so we are seeing stuff grow better than it has the last few years. But with it being on a hill facing the south, it just dries up real fast, and yeah, there's not a lot growing there.
Was there any update on the potential of getting more land to the west of that for the park too? Sounds like a good one to put on the list.
So where are we where are we talking?
Up on Stone Ridge, up on the hill, off Redwood there.
Where?
We've got a little park, you go off Redwood, you go under the railroad trestle, up there, the Stone Ridge development
Got it.
there. There's
Got
a
it,
park
yes.
that's up on the hill.
Now I know where we're at. Yep, okay, got it.
So, okay, so we wanna make our ask then for, are we going over 500?
Yeah.
Alright. Field C lights, 200.
Okay.
100 for grading and seeding at Aspen.
Okay.
50 for pool lights, 50 for McCarty restroom, that takes us to 400 roughly. For the pool, if we do the VFDs, the pool equipment down below, the drinking fountains and filters, you think we're probably at 50 there, that takes us to 450? Okay, if we did Stone Ridge irrigation and park signs, since it's an existing, that's what, 475?
Yeah, go high, mix that up a bit.
I like the thinking.
I like the idea of shared use paths maintenance, just in case we have anything that needs to be
Okay.
fixed, so.
475, if I'm doing this in my head, somebody can check it later, but, and then we also talked about the ice skating pond / soccer. That's gonna take us up to about 515, if it's the 40,000.
Or 540 right now.
540? Okay, good thing somebody's checking me and keeping me honest. Any other favorites down there that would be a good thing to do first year?
You guys all have the same numbers, cause I didn't have that. I had field C lights 200.
Yes.
Pool lights, the pool equipment, filters and fountains, what Devin added in up to 20,000 was a total of 100,000 for all the pool things, right?
Okay.
Is that what you have?
Yeah, with the pool lights, yeah.
Grade and seed of Aspen, 100.
Yep.
McCarty restroom, 50.
Yep.
Stone Ridge irrigation and sign, 25. Shared use path maintenance, 25. 2, 3, 4.
500.
That's 500.
That's 500.
Ice rink and soccer, 40.
Oh,
Yeah.
ice and soccer, 40. God.
540. I don't think we wanna ask for anything out of the large scale on top of that. We've covered everything in the medium, so.
I mean, we've taken one off the top, one off, you know, and kind of tried to spread it around a little bit.
Devin, can we, I know hockey wants to wait. Can we give them a deadline? Once they know that theirs is going to be done, can we say this stuff needs to be moved? So that they don't wait until, I mean, if we don't give them a deadline,
Right. I would think, you know, if they don't move it this year,
Yep.
it's gotta be a guarantee that they would move it next year. Right, and then we could sure kick them out and say, hey, you have till June to get out. That way, that would give us time to get in there and do something, you know. You're not gonna get soccer fields graded, seated, and playable. You know, maybe if you did them in the spring, you could play on them in the fall, but I think they'd be happy with any progress that we would show down there.
Even if they know they're gonna have them in 2027, I think they're gonna be
Right,
ecstatic if
Yes.
they knew they would have them right.
yep,
I think like Adam said, if you get a copy like June first of 2025 and say.
yes. And I was surprised, at one point, they said they were gonna start tearing down the west rink this year, and you know, they didn't, but that was just what they kinda thought. Yeah, they don't wanna preemptively tear it all down and then have something fall through on that one either. But I think that'd be easy enough to get them to for sure get out of there next spring.
But that's my thing. If the council would approve this, you'd want to get to work next spring down there. We'd want that stuff done way before June 1st. I think that's something we have to consider is if this gets approved, that's what we want. We're gonna have to give them some kind of a deadline and say, we need it. Are we gonna be able to remove 6 inches and get dirt in there for this cost? That's, yeah,
Cost had nothing to do with adding dirt, it had
That's-
to do with making a berm and maybe moving a couple light
that's
poles.
what I thought.
There was no soccer.
So there's no soccer money
No.
in there,
You know,
okay.
and we could sure, I mean, we can't count on it, but, you know, they said they would raise money and chip in for something,
Right,
but you know, you never know what that's gonna be.
right.
I mean, we don't have any money over 40,000 to help them, so they're going to have to raise or come up with money to scrape off 6 inches.
Right,
Haul
and
the
you know,
dirt
if
from
they
Aspen
want to
over there.
do it right too and have it be good playable grass, it's gonna have to be irrigated, it's, you know, it's gonna have to be sloped and all that, so.
And we don't even have the 40,000 yet,
And we don't have.
Right.
so.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that was if council approved it.
So,
40,000 would be the most that we would.
so just, this is not helping with our prioritization and they ask for this year, but just wanted to point out, we have two things that we have to choose one or the other that are on the list here, which is paving the tall grass parking lot at 100,000 or removing it, grading, seating, taking out lights and concrete, which is a $30,000 project. I mean, it's gonna be one or the other, and I know we haven't, so we gotta think about that, and I know that doesn't necessarily have to be this year, or for this first year. And the other thing is Devin mentioned, we probably need to add some more large-scale projects if we wanna continue walking down with additional replacing of lights at Aspen too. So we should probably put them in separately so we can prioritize them for future years. So, anything else we wanna throw in to really go big on this? I mean, out of the small list, the soccer complex sponsorship area, that's like those pavers, that's getting that fixed up.
Yeah, I met with Nate the other day. We're working on trying to fix that this year between the city and soccer.
Okay.
See what we can come up with.
Okay. And then that path from the pool to South Nicholas, I think with all the houses going in there, I think that would be a nice thing to have.
Yep, that one too, we should probably just wait till that whole surge tank lift station
Okay.
business is done.
Perfect.
Cause it's in the same spot.
Okay.
Is the storage shed at McCarty Park, is that we need the concrete at McCarty Park, 35,000, is that?
That's just me wanting to do housekeeping, basically around our shop. Right now, our equipment sits in the grass and it looks bad. You gotta move it to mow around it. Just housekeeping type of thing.
Why not? Devin, it might be the first thing that if they have to cut us, that we'll give it up in a heartbeat. All right, who's been keeping track of the money?
You're 575.
motion with this?
You want this in any particular order? Kind of no, okay. Right. Okay. Okay.
And we'll get them a list at the next meeting. Or we take that, just take council, we'll be at council with the ask then, or what?
Well, no, we're gonna have another, work session for CIP.
Okay,
And so what'll happen is they'll run the cash flow and then we'll see how short we are. And then they'll start paring down, okay, well, Parks is only gonna get this much, then the juggling begins. But you have to see the cash flow.
so is everybody comfortable with what we've settled on to get to the 575? Okay. Barb,
Yeah.
do those sound reasonable to you?
Can I run through this real quick just to double check then? Yep. 200 for Field C, 100 for Aspen grading, 50 for the McCarty restroom, 100 between all the pool things, 25 for Stone Ridge irrigation and the sign, 40 for the ice rink / soccer area, 25 for shared use path maintenance, 30 for the concrete at McCarty, 35, sorry. Am I missing anything? Okay.
Yeah. And I get 575 out of that total too, so.
So Barb and Devin, tell me, when the council meets on CIP stuff, are they gonna wanna know these individual items, or are they just saying they want 575 and we're only gonna give them 520?
I think they'll, as long as we have it itemized, I think we can run through the list.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that's what it would be, and they'd wanna know about how much each project is, okay, all right.
But I don't know that they'll say, oh, we don't wanna do the concrete at Devin's place, but they'll say, we're gonna cut, you're only gonna get 500,
Right.
and then you figure it out.
Yeah, they won't necessarily cut a project, they will just cut money and then, yeah.
But for you to tell them what the projects are, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Could I just make one more ask, Devin, when we add in these other things to the list so we can start looking at them in the future? Anything that has a prerequisite, we should probably note. So like, we can't do the paved pathways at Aspen until.
Right, sure.
I think that would be helpful for future.
Another one of these?
Yes.
I really like these.
Alright, so, at this time I'd entertain a motion to take a recommendation to, is it planning, for your planning session for council, CIP? For the 575 ask for parks.
So moved.
Thank you, Adam. Do we have a second?
Second.
I think we've discussed it to death, but anyone wanna make any last comments? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Minnie will call Brian. Alright, Devin, tree board items is our last agenda item.
Real quick, we got a good bid on our tree removals and trimming, so we're gonna be adding 4 streets worth of ash trees kind of over here off of Aspen by, the old Pace building. And I have not contacted anyone there yet, but it's roughly 21 trees. I'm sure it'll be half that or so by the time it's all said and done. And then if we're still short of meeting our budget, I'm just gonna have Champion start removing some big ones down in McCarty Park, later this fall. Some of those are near power lines. They're big. They're a little out of our league. So that's about it.
Thank you, Devin. Next meeting is June 19th. 5:15 will be the time. The 19th. Oh, that's Juneteenth. It's a holiday. It's a holiday for me. No, I can still come to park board. Unless I go out of town, but I'll let John know a day ahead of time. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
And all in favor?